Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with To Wong Foo. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. This is a donation reward. The donator wishes to remain anonymous for this. Um, the most I can tell you is that it's a friend of mine. And this is a movie I've heard about, but have never seen and don't really know anything about in terms of like the main plot of it. I just know a couple of details. Um, but I will say I am dedicating this movie um, unofficially to Sweet Venom because you don't seem to know who John Leguizamo is, or at least anything he's been in. So this is dedicated to you because this stars John Leguizamo. But it also stars Wesley Snipes and Patrick Swayze. And the three of them play drag queens in this. And that's pretty much all I know. So this movie was donated not just as a reward, but also because of the current situation here in the US. Most notably in Florida, I believe, where the political right are equating drag queens to trans people, which, for one, is not entirely equatable. And for two, they are demonizing drag queens to the public, making them seem like sexual deviants, even though a lot of drag queen stuff isn't even sexual in nature. Um, and they're using it as a standing point, or a launching point, I guess, to fuel anti-trans legislation. So, yeah, and they're basically considering everything involving drag as basically being the same thing as being trans. Because in their eyes, being trans, especially notably being a trans woman, is just a guy in drag. That's all they see trans women as. So they see drag as like kind of the launching point to that, and believe that if they snuff that out and everything, it'll help snuff out trans people, which is not how anything works, by the way. But you know, transphobes got a transphobe, and they're just being the worst that humanity has to offer. So, it's obviously a very fitting film to check out in the current climate of the US. And especially as a trans woman myself living in the US, having to constantly deal with and hear about all this shit and live with it in a way. Luckily, I live in Michigan, where we have a governor who is, siding with us, who's actually, a good person, but still, it's it's still spreading throughout the country. And it's horrible. It's absolutely atrocious. It's inhumane. It's immoral as hell. But the right doesn't give a shit about that. They never have. So, yeah. Uh, Sorry to bring this down, but again, that's a very important aspect of why this film was chosen by my friend. Um, and I don't even know when this film came out exactly. Like, even thinking about the actors in it, Wesley Snipes, Patrick Swayze, and John Leguizamo, it's like, this could be the 80s, it could be the 90s, I'm just not sure. I'm not sure. Um, but yeah, I don't really know anything about the movie itself. I don't like know what the plot is about. I don't know who else might be in this. all I know is the main three cast members, and that they star as drag queens. And I have been recommended this movie in the past, and told that it's a queer classic. And that's all I know about this. But I'm definitely interested. And like I said, just as a little joke, I am dedicating this to you, Sweet Venom, if you're watching, because you don't seem to know John Leguizamo roles. Like, he didn't even know John Leguizamo was Bruno in Encanto. He didn't know that, and it's like, what? Or that he was Luigi in the Super Mario movie. He's never seen The Happening. Yes, I'm ragging on you right now, Sweet Venom. In reality, it's fine. I just know that I'm joking around and just messing with him. Don't think I'm actually like just being a bitch to Sweet Venom here. I'm just messing around. I want to make that clear because I'm sure there are some people out there who might actually think I'm being like serious. I'm not. I want to make that clear. But it is wild to me that he didn't know that Bruno was John Leguizamo, or that he's never seen or knew that John Leguizamo was in all these other roles. He did know that he was the clown in Spawn, so there's that at least. But anyway, yeah, I'm excited to see what this is about and why people have recommended it to me. I have had people at my church recommend this to me. People in the queer community. My church, by the way, is very queer accepting. Just, excuse me. Just as an explanation for that, because that might confuse some people. My church, we're next door to a gay bar. And it's like, it's a very, very positive and affirming church. So, just context there. But yeah, I've had friends, I've had other queer people at like events recommend it to me. When we've talked about movies and stuff, it's like, yeah, I've been recommended this, and I've just never checked it out. I don't know why, I just never have. Other movies, I guess, took up my time, or other things in general. But we're getting to it now because it's a dono reward. Easy way to get to that, right? So yeah, hopefully we end up liking this, and I want to obviously thank my friend for donating for this. I thank everyone for donating. But yeah, we're just going to get into this, hope for the best. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. Or to the movie, rather. So, all of that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So first off, I want to mention something I found out like in between while I was looking a couple things up. Apparently, Robin Williams was just completely uncredited in this, and apparently the reason was he didn't want to take any of the attention away from the main leads. He wanted them to be the stars and the focus, and didn't want his name to take any attention away, so he went completely uncredited. And mind you, his role was very minor in the first place, but that's really interesting. Another interesting fact is that apparently this has a pretty low rating on Rotten Tomatoes. As always, Rotten Tomatoes should be taken with a grain of salt because it's honestly bullshit. And this kind of proves it, because this movie deserves so much more. This movie was honestly amazing. It got me super emotional a couple times there. And it really did well to just highlight and humanize drag queens and just give them love, to show them love. And this is important in today's social climate with how things are being handled here in America currently. So it was really cool to see this through that too. And there's a lot I can say about this movie. I'm not going to be able to say everything because it would take too long. Um, this came out in '95, and there are certain aspects that you can tell that with, like, and I'm not talking about how it was made or how it's shot or whatnot, but in terms of its representation and whatnot, it's like there's certain like words that are used that just aren't used anymore. Like transsexuals aren't. It's not used anymore. It's an outdated term that is honestly linked to the idea that to be a trans woman you have to have surgery, and that was even directly mentioned in this. And again, that's not believed anymore. People understand that's not the case, that you don't have to have surgeries or be on HRT or anything to be trans. And there are, it's because of the times. It's when this came out, and it's not like too offensive or anything. It's clearly just the wrong words and phrases and terms and all compared to what we know nowadays. It's never painted in a negative light. In fact, the people who are actively against it in this film, the two main ones being the cop and the husband, they fail in the end. They are made to look like the idiots they are. This movie very much gives a big middle finger to people like that. I mean, the cop's name is Dullard. He says it's Dollard, and that it's a typo and everything, but his name is it's Dullard. It's like that should tell you enough of what this movie's trying to say regarding people who are against drag queens and against gender nonconforming people in general. And we see how the entire town, who ended up growing to love these three girls, stood up for them in the end. And again, the moment where the one lady is telling Vita, where she's telling her, it's like, I knew from the beginning you have the Adam's apple. It's like, but now I just know I have a lady friend with an Adam's apple. It's like, that got me. It's like, because that is so powerful to me as a trans woman. It's just, ugh. um, all three leads, Wesley Snipes, Patrick Swayze, John Leguizamo, did a phenomenal job. They owned these roles. They just completely ate up that scenery. They worked those outfits phenomenally, every single one, and they made a statement with this. And I hope that Wesley Snipes and John Leguizamo still stand by that statement. Patrick Swayze has unfortunately passed away, but I hope that before he did, he still stood by it as well. Because this is a statement that, especially in today's political climate, needs to be stated. It's important for drag queens and gender nonconforming people, trans women, just trans people in general, to know that people have their backs, to know that they are valid, that even if you don't completely understand it, that you can treat them like the people they are, respect them and love them, and that they deserve that. It's powerful, and it's beautiful. The movie also has some good comedy in it, and it has some moments that are upsetting. It has drama, it has intense scenes, it touches on domestic abuse, sexual assault, all kinds of very huge topics. And it does it with grace and fabulosity. And I mean that seriously. I'm not just using these words to fit in with the style of the film and the theme of drag queens and all. I genuinely mean that. It really pulls it off wonderfully. And it's it's great. It's so enjoyable. Like, this is a movie I would definitely watch again and again. I don't know if anyone on YouTube has done a reaction or review to it, but I'm definitely going to be looking that up. This movie just really, really nailed it for me. It really hit it out of the park. And I really enjoyed it. Even when the characters were being a little bitchy towards each other, even when they were having their arguments, it's like, this kind of stuff happens. And it's very clear in the end that they're going to come back from it even stronger. And I like how all three of them made friends in this little town. All three of them. It's just Vita made friends with this woman. She helped her get out of an abusive relationship with the guy. In the end, again, he doesn't accept it in the end, and he doesn't get anything. He has to leave because he's done. It's like he's defeated. The evil is defeated. And I love that. I love that he doesn't give any. I love that the cop doesn't get anything. That they just basically go out empty-handed. That nothing ever comes of it. Like, some people might say, "Oh, that's anticlimactic," or it feels like wasted potential. They could have done something or given them like their comeuppance. It's like, I actually like more that they didn't get anything done to them. That it's just, they just have to live with just basically being laughingstocks and just failing. But yeah, Vita befriending Carol Ann. You have Noxima befriending the one lady. Was it Loretta? Was it Myrna? I don't know. There's multiple women in there, and it's trying to remember all of their names. And you have obviously Chi-Chi with Bobby Ray, and even later on Bobby Lee. It's like you have these just great friendships that come out of this, and in the end, everyone in the town stands up for them. Everyone. And it's great. It's absolutely wonderful to see. And we need more movies like this. We need more movies like this that give a spotlight not just to drag queens, but to trans people, to gender nonconforming people, to people who just aren't the quote unquote norm. People who are seen as strange or weird or unconventional. Movies that just not only highlight them, but give it all to them. Movies that just give everything to them and make it clear that they deserve love. It's definitely one of those films that definitely is underrated, I feel. Based on the little bit I looked through of what it said and all with Rotten Tomatoes and everything. In fact, here, let me look this up. I was gonna not go through all the reviews, but let me go through this real quick. Let me find it here. Okay, so yeah, it has a 43% rating based on 42 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and the consensus on the site reads, "To Wong Foo, thanks for everything. Julie Newmar seeks to celebrate individuality, but is too timid and predictable to achieve its admittedly noble aims." And going on other things here, basically throughout these reviews and everything, it says a lot of like, because of the times, it couldn't go as far as it needed, and it's like, to a degree, I'll give you that. But for the times, it went exceptionally far. For the mid 90s, the lengths that this movie went to validate people and to show how beloved they can and should be is huge. That it's massive. Like, could it have gone further? Yes, it could have. But honestly, I don't think it needed to because it got the points across. All the acting was great. The direction was great. The writing was great. It's like, I don't get it. And apparently Roger Ebert also wrote, "What is amazing is how the movie manages to be funny and amusing while tippy-toeing around A, sex, B, controversy, and C, any originality in the plot. Credit for that belongs to Swayze, Snipes, and Leguizamo, who are surprisingly good at playing drag queens." Um, yeah, so Roger Ebert was saying like it just, well, it tippy toes around all of this stuff, and it doesn't. It's like it shows all of that, and it talks about all of that. Like, does it go as deep into it as it could? Again, no. It could have gone a lot further into that. Think something we just reacted to. Oh God, why is my mind blanking? Oh, freaking hell, why? Oh, I hate when that happens. Thelma and Louise. I actually had to bring up the folder with the file in it still. Think Thelma and Louise, where that movie touches a lot on misogyny, on sexism. Um, could this movie have gone more into like that level of things with it, where it's a lot more front and center and everything? Yes, but that really wasn't the point of this movie. Like, yeah, the movie goes into it. It definitely touches on those topics, but the point of the movie is about celebrating about celebrating drag queens, about celebrating women, about celebrating gender nonconforming people. It's not about all of the controversy and troubles and everything. And sex is for some reason one of Roger Ebert's things there. It's like, really? And saying that the plot isn't like original and everything isn't really an argument. Citing unoriginality isn't an argument. It's not. People need to stop doing that. It's like, for one thing, most things aren't original these days. And they weren't even back in the 90s. Originality in film is a very bygone thing by this point. And also, it's just not an argument. It's like it doesn't actually say anything when you express that. It doesn't actually explain the issue that you have. It doesn't even matter if it's not original. It just matters on how it's executed. And the execution, in my opinion at least, was fabulous. I enjoy it. As we were going along, I was thinking this was going to be more of a direct road trip movie, but it actually stopped at, like, not even halfway through, I think. And it just became about this town, and it's like, just this small podunk town where things are not that great, and the people are not that great, and it's just kind of like, just a nothing to it town. And we see how livelier and just more wonderful it becomes because of these three queens breathing life into it. it's wonderful to see that it actually like changed up kind of in the middle of it what it was basically going to be about, because it's like that's what it kind of uh, shows itself to be at the start. It's going to be like, oh, this is going to be a road trip movie, but then it just halts that, and it's like, oh no, we're gonna do something a little better than that. Um, and I really, really loved it. Um, it was just really wonderful to see. And there's other people who have said various things about this movie, and I'm not going to go over all of them. It's not really worth it. But apparently, Patrick Swayze and John Leguizamo were both nominated in the 1996 Golden Globes for Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor, respectively. It kind of sucks that Wesley Snipes was kind of left out of that, though, honestly. Um, because he definitely deserved just as much credit as those two. But yeah, um, I just really, really enjoyed this. Again, not everything like not every term and phrase in this works in a current context, but overall, this movie was it still had the soul, the spirit, the life that it needed to. It was fantastic, and I genuinely loved it. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Tell me in the comments below, what did you think of To Wong Foo? Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. Let me know down below, and hopefully future dono rewards continue to impress me as much as this one. Thanks again to my friend, who once again wishes to remain anonymous. Um, I'm really glad that they requested this of me. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.